Let's welcome on stage the Consultant, Head of Investor Relations and Sustainability of SM Investment Corporation. Here's Mr. Timothy Daniels.
Good afternoon to everyone joining us here in person and also to those participating via Zoom. We will begin our annual Stockholders meeting with an invocation to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. Let us all rise for the invocation and then remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem.
Let us bow our heads as we put ourselves in the presence of our dear Lord. Heavenly Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here today. We ask for your blessings and guidance so that the activities set for this undertaking will be successful. We ask you to open our eyes to see the wonderful things from this activity. We ask you to open our ears so that we may retain the invaluable knowledge that we will learn. Open our minds for us to think wisely. Give us understanding, cooperation, and peace in fulfilling our responsibilities. Open our heart so that we may receive your everlasting love, and open our spirit so that we may know that you are with us all throughout the day. All these we ask in the most holy and mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, kaya sa sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa likid mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagaktutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay ginagang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihingi, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitingin. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga api, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome everyone to the 2024 annual Stockholders meeting of SM Investments Corporation. We would like to welcome our board of directors present this afternoon. Our chairman of the board, Mr. Armando M. Tatanco Jr. Our vice chairpersons, Ms. Teresita T.C. and Mr. Henry T.C. Jr. Mr. Harley T.C., Executive Director. Ms. Tomasa H. Lapana, Lead Independent Director. Mr. Robert G. Vergara, Independent Director. And Mr. Ramon M. Lopez, Independent Director. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of our advisors to the board, Ms. Elizabeth T.C., Mr. Hans T.C., Mr. Herbert T.C., Mr. Gregory L. Domingo, Mr. Roberto G. Manabat, and Mr. Joseph Fai. Also with us is our Chairman Emeritus, Mr. Jose T. Show. Our Corporate Secretary, Attorney Elmer B. Serrano. Our Assistant Corporate Secretary and SVP for Legal, Attorney Arthur A. C. Our SVP for Finance, Mr. Franklin C. Gomez. And I would now turn over the meeting to our chairman, Mr. Armando M. Tatanco Jr.
Good afternoon to our shareholders and guests. Welcome to the 2024 Annual Stockholders Meeting of SM Investments Corporation. We are pleased to see you all again this year, especially those present with us here in Conrad. Welcome, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, the Annual Stockholders Meeting of SM Investments Corporation is now called to order. Mr. Secretary, please certify to the posting and publication of the notice to this meeting and existence of a quorum.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And good afternoon to everyone. In compliance with the rules issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, I certify that notice of this meeting, along with a definitive information statement and the company's guidelines for remote participation and voting in absentia, were uploaded on PSE Edge and posted on the company's website. In addition, the notice was published on March 25 and 26, 2024, both in print and online formats, in the Business section and the Daily Tribune and the Business World. Mr. Chair, based on the record of registration, the stockholders who are participating in this meeting in person, virtually, and by proxy represent 1,074,216,081 common shares, constituting 87.9% of the total outstanding capital stock of the company as of record date, March 25, 2024. I therefore certify that we have a quorum for this meeting. We would also like to inform the shareholders that the representatives of SyCip Gorres Velayo and Company, or SGV, the company's external auditor, are present. SGV has been engaged as third-party tabulator of votes cast for today's meeting. Finally, we'd like to inform our stockholders and other participants that this meeting is being recorded. And for good order, we will be having our open forum at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The next item in the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the last annual stockholders meeting. Mr. Secretary, were copies of the minutes provided to all stockholders?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The minutes were posted on the company's website soon after its adjournment last year. A copy of the minutes was also appended to the definitive information statement posted on the PSE Edge and the company's website and available to all our shareholders for downloading. The minutes reflect the proceedings of the last annual meeting, including resolutions adopted and approved with a corresponding tabulation of votes.
Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting are being presented for approval. The floor is now open for any motion.
Mr. Chair, good afternoon. I am Paul Binag. I move to approve the minutes of the last annual stockholders meeting and that all unqualified votes be cast in favor of the approval.
Mr. Chair, I am Jed Espiritu. I second the motion.
Thank you. There being no objection, the motion is carried and the minutes are approved. Mr. Secretary, please ensure that the minutes of today's meeting reflect the tabulation of votes for all agenda items requiring stockholder approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Secretary, the next item in the agenda is the President's report and approval of the 2023 annual report and audited financial statements. Please direct your attention to the screen for the President's report.
Another milestone year across the group. Each of our businesses contributed to drive revenues higher by 11% and earnings by 25%. We continued to expand across the country through our core businesses and invest in high-growth sectors. Let me first give a quick overview of the economic situation we faced last year. The Philippine economy grew 5.5% last year, outpacing major economies in Asia. A major driver of this growth was strong consumption spending as consumers benefited from record low unemployment rate of 3.1% and steady growth in overseas Filipino works remittances of 2.9%. Inflation averaged 6% for the year and slowed to 3.9% in December amid rising energy and food prices. Taking this largely into consideration, we ensured our products and services continue to meet our customers' needs and wallet sizes. Given this strong economic backdrop, SM remained a proxy for the Philippines and its consumer-focused growth in particular. Our strong financial performance last year was driven by all three core businesses, retailing, banking, and property, as well as contributions from our portfolio investments. Our net income grew 25% to 77 billion pesos, while consolidated revenues increased 11% to 616.3 billion pesos. Our banks delivered the largest portion of our earnings at 47% as they benefited from higher margins and broad economic growth. Meanwhile, our malls experienced high foot traffic and strong consumer activity, especially in F&B and entertainment, which helped drive property contribution at 25%. Retail pitched in 19% to total net earnings as discretionary spending remained vibrant. Portfolio investments delivered 9% as it continues to demonstrate growth, especially in logistics, renewable energy, leisure entertainment, and the bake shop business. Our long-term policy of financial prudence ensured that we were not adversely impacted by high interest rates. Our total assets increased 7% to 1.6 trillion pesos, and gearing remained conservative at a ratio of 33% net debt to 67% total equity. Our balance sheet remains strong with our banks well capitalized and our businesses able to invest in growth. Our retail business, which consists of groceries, department, and specialty retail stores, reported revenues of 415 billion pesos, up 10% on consistent growth across key segments. Net income increased 11% to 19.9 billion pesos. Revenues from SM's food group, consisting of SM Markets, Walter Mart, and Alpha Mart, grew 7%, contributing almost half to total retail revenue growth. With continuing efficiencies in operations, net income for the food segment increased 21%. Revenues of the SM store increased 16%, while specialty retail revenues grew 11%. These were driven by discretionary spending on fashion, footwear, pets, and health and beauty. Backed by consistent growth, we continue to expand our retail footprint to over 3,800 outlets in 2023. Out of this total, we opened 419 new stores last year, with 371 stores, or 89%, located in provincial areas. Alpha Mart, our mini-mart grocery format, intends to accelerate its expansion by at least 400 stores this year. This reflects our strategy to tap into growth opportunities in emerging regions. Our property business under SM Prime reported consolidated net income grew 33% to 40 billion pesos. Consolidated revenues increased 21% to 128.1 billion pesos. The mall business, which accounts for 56% consolidated property revenues, grew 30% in revenues to 71.9 billion in 2023. Mall rental income increased by 24% to 61.3 billion pesos. The residential business, led by SM Development Corporation, reported that revenues grew by 8% to 43.1 billion. Reservation sales stood at 102 billion in 2023, translating to more than 21,000 residential units sold. Other key businesses consisting of offices, hotels, and convention centers reported and grew revenues by 26% to 13.1 billion pesos. Last year, SM Prime opened 3 new malls in growing regions, namely SM City Bataan, SM Center San Pedro in Laguna, and SM City Santo Tomas in Batangas. SMDC is building more residential communities with 20 projects outside Metro Manila, namely in Pampanga, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, Laguna, Cagayan de Oro, Davao, Iloilo, and Bacolod. It launched 3 new SMDC developments in 2023, namely Jade Residences in Makati, Turf Residences in Laguna, and Parkville in Bacolod. Among hotels and convention centers, SM Prime opened its first Lanson Place property here in Mall of Asia Complex in Pasay City. Our banks delivered sustained net income growth from their core businesses. BDO Unibank reported its net income grew 29% to 73.4 billion pesos. Net interest income grew by 25% to 186.4 billion pesos. Gross customer loans grew 9% to 2.85 trillion pesos with growth across all market segments. Total deposits increased by 11% to 3.57 trillion pesos with CASA ratio at 72%. Asset quality continued to improve as non-performing loan ratio declined to 1.85%. NPL coverage increased to 185% with the bank's conservative provisioning policy. BDO continued to reach more areas in the Visayas and Mindanao regions through BDO Network Bank. As of last year, BDO had 1,101 branches in the provinces out of its total 1,720 branches. Meanwhile, China Bank reported higher net income by 15% to 22 billion pesos, boosted by higher core business revenues. Net interest income increased 17% to 53.5 billion pesos, as strong growth in loans and investments offset the significantly higher interest expense. Gross loans grew by 10% to 791 billion. On the funding side, total deposits were higher by 11% to 1.2 trillion pesos, with CASA ratio at 48%. With the improving economic conditions, the bank reduced loan loss provisions to 1.2 billion pesos. Asset quality was stable with a 2.5% NPL ratio, while NPL coverage remained sufficient at 104%. China Bank likewise has a wide footprint in the provinces. Out of its 648 branches, 300 are outside Metro Manila. Its Thrift Bank subsidiary, China Bank Savings, has a total of 168 regular branches, of which 92 are outside of Metro Manila. In addition, there are 88 branch lights and lending centers in the provinces. In addition to the expansion of our core businesses, we aim to develop our presence in new and high-growth sectors through active investments. Our portfolio investments now account for 9% of the group's net earnings. We aim to increase this into the mid-teens in the medium term. Last year, we increased our stake in To-Go to 67.2%. We also acquired 2 new ships to add to our fleet of 8 RoPax vessels and 1 freighter in order to serve more routes and capture opportunities in the growth of the Philippine economy. We are also investing in support of clean energy sources. Following our acquisition of Philippine Geothermal Production Company in late 2022, we are looking at new steam fields in northern and southern Luzon with the aim of doubling our 300 megawatts of steam production from our 2 existing steam fields over the medium term. We celebrated SM's 65th anniversary last year together with our employees, customers, tenants, and MSMEs who have grown with us over the years. Today, we continue to operate with our founder Henry C's fundamental belief that business growth and the good of our stakeholders go hand in hand. As we grow, we work hard to ensure shared value creation. We continue to champion workplace inclusivity for hundreds of thousands of our people and deepen our support for over 100,000 MSMEs who are among our tenants and suppliers. Through our foundations, we undertook school building and scholarship programs, constructed healthcare facilities nationwide, and supported a number of farmers through training. Notably, our medical missions achieved the milestone of serving over 1 million Filipinos. In our environmental advocacy, we ensured that our businesses have a comprehensive long-term sustainability roadmap to manage their environmental impact. We continue to support the UN Global Compact and 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Women's Empowerment Principles, the Task Force for Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, the Carbon Disclosure Project, and the Global Reporting Initiative Principles. In addition to our investments in renewable energy, BDO is one of the largest funders of the local renewable energy sector, supporting 59 large-scale projects nationwide. As we close the year, we are grateful to be recognized by a number of leading local and international award bodies. Several group companies were recognized in the Philippines Best Customer Service 2023 awards, including the SM Store, Toy Kingdom, BDO, SM Markets, and SM Cinemas. Forbes magazine recognized SM as one of the world's best employers. Sustainalytics, a leading ESG rating company, regarded SM Investments as top-rated both among diversified financial companies globally and among all companies in Asia-Pacific. In governance, 10 SM companies were recognized by the Institute of Corporate Directors. We also garnered 6 regional awards from the ASEAN Corporate Governance Scorecard. Given all this, we maintain our cautious optimism for the rest of 2024. We intend to continue investing in the Philippine growth story, committed to being a catalyst for responsible development in the communities that we serve. We remain positive in the growth of our core businesses while optimizing their synergies with our portfolio investments. Today, there is still a significant gap in accessing modern retailing, banking, services, and integrated property developments for many Filipinos. Our strategy is to continue to expand coverage nationwide, to reach and create new markets, to improve accessibility and inclusivity in these sectors, to help bridge these gaps and provide more opportunities for underserved areas. On behalf of the SM Group, I'd like to extend our deepest gratitude to our numerous stakeholders for your unwavering trust and patronage. Your confidence inspires us to continue to grow responsibly to help create a more inclusive and prosperous society for every Filipino. Thank you for your steady support and dedication. Together, let's build a brighter and sustainable future. I wish you all a very pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will now entertain a motion for approval of the 2023 annual report and audited final statements of the company.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Ariel Ongchan, and I move for the approval of the 2023 annual report and the audited financial statements of SMIC, and that all unqualified votes be cast in favor of such approval.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Alexis Mariano, and I second the motion.
Thank you. There being no objection, the motion is carried and the 2023 annual report and audited financial statements are approved. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a board meeting earlier today, and I'm pleased to announce that your board has approved the declaration of cash dividends amounting to approximately 10 billion 998 million 210,222 pesos, or 9 pesos per share, in favor of all stockholders of record as of May 9, 2024, payable on May 23, 2024. The next item in the agenda is the ratification of all acts and proceedings of the Board of Directors, the Board Committees, and Management during their terms of office. The collective efforts of the Board, its committees, and management are the key success factors to the company's 2023 performance. A summary of these acts is found in the company's definitive information statement. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I move for the ratification of the acts of the Board of Directors, its committees, and management during their terms of office, and that all unqualified votes be cast in favor of its approval.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. There being no objection, the motion is carried. The acts of the Board of Directors, the Board Committees, and Management during their terms of office are therefore ratified and approved. We move on to the next item in the agenda, which is the approval of the amendment to the 6th article of the Articles of Incorporation. The 6th article of the Articles of Incorporation is being amended to increase the number of members of the Board of Directors from 8 to 9. I will now entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the amendment of the 6th article of the Articles of Incorporation to increase the number of the members of the board from 8 to 9, and that all unqualified votes be cast in favor thereof.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
Thank you. There being no objection, the motion is carried, and the amendment of the 6th article of the Articles of Incorporation to increase the number of directors to 9 is approved. We now go to the election of directors for 2024 to 2025. In accordance with the corporation's bylaws, the Corporate Governance Committee has pre-screened and shortlisted all candidates qualified and nominated to the Board of Directors. May we request the Chairman of the Corporate Governance Committee, Mr. Ramon M. Lopez, to please read the names of the nominees qualified to be elected to the Board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pursuant to the corporation's bylaws, the Corporate Governance Committee pre-screened and qualified the following nominees for election to the Board of Directors for the year 2024 to 2025. First, Mr. Armando M. Tetanco Jr. as Independent Director, Ms. Teresita T. C., Mr. Henry T. C. Jr., Mr. Harley T. C., Mr. Frederick C. Dibuncio, Ms. Tomasa H. Lipana as Independent Director, Mr. Robert G. Vergara as Independent Director, and Mr. Ramon M. Lopez as Independent Director. The Corporate Governance Committee also pre-screened and qualified Attorney Lily K. Gruba for election as Independent Director of the Corporation for the year 2024 to 2025 to assume directorship upon the approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission of the increase in directors.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that all unqualified votes be cast equally in favor of all the nominees and that those nominated be declared elected to the board.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
The motion having been made and seconded, all unqualified votes are cast equally in favor of the nominees, and those nominated are hereby declared elected directors. Thank you, and congratulations to the newly elected members of the Board of Directors. Let us welcome the elected directors. Let us welcome the elected directors with a warm round of applause. We now proceed to the appointment of the company's external auditor. Mr. Secretary, please discuss briefly.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The Audit Committee processed and pre-screened nominations for external auditor and recommends the reappointment of Sisit Gores Velayo and Company, or SGV, as the external auditor for the fiscal year 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I will now entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the reappointment of SGV as the external auditor of the company for the year 2024 and that all unqualified votes be cast in favor of such approval.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. There being no objection, the motion is carried. SGV is therefore reappointed as external auditor of the company for 2024. We will now proceed to the open forum. I now turn over the floor to our moderator, Mr. Tim Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For good order, the floor will be first to open to persons attending in person here. If there are no questions or comments from the floor, we will then proceed to any questions or remarks that have been sent prior to the meeting via email or the Q&A panel. As provided in the company's ASM notice, stockholders attending remotely were given the opportunity to send their questions or remarks prior to the meeting by sending an email to asm@sminvestments.com by no later than April 22nd, 2024. Shareholders were also allowed to send their questions or their comments through the chat box of the live stream. For your questions or your comments to be entertained, please could you indicate your full name as it appears in the company records. We'll now proceed to open the floor for any questions or comments from shareholders attending in person.
Mr. Chair, I'm Paul Binag. I'd like to ask the board, with the portfolio investments contributing to the income of about 9%, what other sectors are you bullish about?
We're targeting to increase the contribution of our portfolio investments to the mid-teens over the medium term. We see growth in logistics and renewables. In the recent months, we bought the remaining listed shares of To-Go as we commit to the growing transport and logistics industry. We felt that for the country to continue to grow and for the growth of the economy to trickle down to the provincial areas, a very important element is logistics. Our investments are in To-Go, which is the largest end-to-end logistics provider. And the other logistics company is called Airspeed, which is more focused on cross-border logistics. We intend to grow both. We also acquired PGPC as our initial foray into renewable energy via steam generation. PGPC is a leading provider of clean and sustainable geothermal energy in the country. PGPC targets to increase its steam production by approximately another 300 megawatts of baseload renewable energy through new exploration projects. Across our core businesses, we continue, of course, to grow in banking, retail, and property.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My question is, in the perspective of the company, how does consumer spending affect the current inflation environment?
Based on our financial performance for 2023, we have seen steady discretionary spending on fashion, health and beauty, pets, toys, and other discretionary items. We also see discretionary spending in the malls through dining and entertainment activities. Consumers are adjusting their spending behavior amid the heightened inflation environment to continue meeting their daily needs. Our retail businesses ensure that our offerings cater to these diverse needs to fit various wallet sizes. With unemployment at record lows and personal remittances from overseas Filipinos at an all-time high, we continue to see resilience in consumption even amid the ongoing inflation environment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that concludes our open forum. We thank all stockholders for their questions. If there are further questions or comments that have not been addressed, please contact our investor relations team and we will endeavor to answer them afterwards or by email. I now return the floor to the chair.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, is there any other item in the agenda?
There are no other matters, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And there being no other matter in the agenda, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
The meeting is now adjourned. We thank everyone who participated in this meeting and those who joined us remotely this afternoon. For those at the Forbes Ballroom, we have arranged snacks for the occasion, and everybody is invited to enjoy the refreshments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we also invite members of the media and analysts to proceed to the Taft Ballroom for a media and analysts briefing after this? And can I ask the members on the stage to stand, please, for a short photo opportunity? Thank you very much, everybody. Good afternoon.